First Baptist Church, this church, at the beginning, inception, their contribution to the center was £1. How much is £1 now? We always contribute to the center. Baptist churches, we gather a percentage to the center. And that was in 1941. They were sending £1 to the center. And in 2001, as written in the book, I will not tell you, buy the book and see how much this church contributes to the center. Very fat, large amount, and that is growth. You get the book, you will see how much your church, as of 2021, contributes to the center. Now, the unique belief and practice of Baptist denomination, baptism by immersion, internal decor, construction of the church is outlined for the benefit of analytical minds in this book. Now, chapter 2, it talks about the meetings, worship programs of the church. I know that not everyone here is a Baptist, and this book was not written only for the Baptists. It's an history book. You may be in another denomination, and then you want to see or emulate First Baptist Church, Port Harcourt, how they conduct their services, because you've seen the transformation and the blessings upon the church over these years. You can have the book. They have clearly written out activities that cover the day, that is Sunday. You may read it and get an information that can help your own denomination. Now, also in this book, they recognize that, the authors recognize that our young ones are drifting away. That's even the title of the lecture. But they also put in place some activities to retain ones here. They have written it there. And they gave credit to the associate pastor, ministerial Reverend Dr. E.S.M. Woko, and Reverend Dr. gave credit to them for bringing out programs and activities that retains the young ones. But we still need more, just like the lecture has said, so that the young ones can be retained. And then in this book, they also talk about a typical church in conference. You know, in Baptist, we have a church in conference. For those of us that are not Baptist, a church in conference, a democratic setting where members are allowed to speak their minds. So far, a baptized member, pastor say his own, you to have a right to say your own. You can disagree. Then at last, we leave the church agreeing to a particular issue. So they have clearly written out what the composition, eligibility, and activities of the church, pages 37 to 39. And in chapter 3, the authors describe the administrative structure of the church in line with the Nigerian Baptist Convention. The diaconate, pulpit committee, and other workers that hold administrative position in the church. Now, in a Baptist church, when there is no pastor, the pulpit committee, they handle the pastoral duties, and they are in the forefront of calling a pastor. In most of our churches, that can cause a lot of trouble. Pulpit committee, it can cause a lot. But this church, it wasn't like that. The authors have recorded how they were able to call a pastor when their pastor, Reverend M.B., late Reverend M.B. Eloko, was not functions as usual. In their own words, the author said, God saw us through. So if you have a crisis like that in your church, or there's a situation like that, take it. Just look at this book, and I recommend you will see what it is not to have crisis, even when the pastor is away. The authors also mention other organizations in the church that have continued to foster unity and love in the church. The MMU, Men Mission, Royal Ambassadors, Lydia Auxiliary, Girls Auxiliary, Sunbeams. Now, in this book, the roles each of these organizations played, and in some cases, the pioneer members of these organizations, these organizations or groups, they are mentioned by the author. Like I was reading through the book and I saw my friend, Mrs. S, was recorded as one of the two ladies that started Lydia Auxiliary in this church. Well, I was very interested. We talked. She has never told me this aspect, but I saw it in the book. So you might also see another story in this book. Just have to get one. Now, a unique feature of this church, which I read through the book, is the establishment of social departments. We don't have it. We don't have something similar like that in my church. So I'm going to tell my pastor, this thing is, I can recommend it to our EC if we can start it. That's they have the Daughters of Zion, the Lawyers Fellowship, Superstars of Jesus. It interests me. It can also to mention but a few. You can go and start it in your church. You might never be a Baptist church, but these are kingdom activities and oneness, just like the song. The kingdom of God is righteousness with joy, peace. We have to keep ourselves happy so that we don't envy those people outside. They should envy us and come. So when we have social programs like this, it may even help our young ones. I know they are doing that here and it's helping them more. Now, another thing that interests me again in this book is the mention of a Saturday sweeping group, gatekeepers. They are all mentioned here. What an innovation. I'm sure they'll be very happy to see that. When I started reading it, I was seeing the contributions of others. They did not put it. Before I knew, I saw where they were included. That is very commendable. The authors have really taken care of everyone. And then in chapter 5 is how the church engaged in church planting and mission in these 100 years of existence. You see quite a lot. I just mentioned one, which is the Allery, the Allery Baptist Church for the Hausa-speaking community in Port Harcourt. I don't think I heard of that before I read this book. But it's quite commendable that these are our brothers here in Port Harcourt. They can gather and worship God under the First Baptist Church Port Harcourt ministry. Of course, in the church, we also read that there are different groups, the Calabari group, the Ogoni group, and dutifully, they put their pictures here in their performances. I'm so excited seeing that. I'm sure when you see your group here, you want to do more. You want to do more. And then the book also talks about the pastors, their contributions, their roles, and their involvement, and the contents of chapter 6. I know they listed all the pastors from inception till a present day. A history book indeed. Then in chapter 7, it focuses on the present and future issues of the church in order to maintain the growth of the church. And they also listed out the themes of the